Um, it's difficult with all of the news that's coming out of Ukraine, the claims and counterclaims that are coming out of that region, to get a proper handle on exactly what's happening. So it's always good when we get official, reliable information, as far as we're concerned, coming through from official sources. Now, the UK Ministry of Defence have been carrying out analysis. They did some analysis overnight. They have, of course, intelligence assets on the ground, satellite imagery. They're in constant contact with forces on the ground there in Ukraine as well. As you may have heard in the news bulletin, some significant lines coming out from the Ministry of Defence here in the UK. They say that the Russian advance has temporarily slowed down, probably due to logistical issues and because of fierce Ukrainian resistance. They are putting up a very significant fight against those Russian forces who are attacking on many different fronts right across Ukraine. The Ministry of Defence also saying that it appears that Russia is bypassing some of the major centres of population, instead leaving significant numbers of troops to encircle those centres of population, and that Kiev, it appears, remains their primary objective. Now, there was reports of fierce battles overnight in and around Kiev. There were missile strikes, of course, at facilities and indeed residential areas in the capital as well. But what the Ministry of Defence in the UK say, their analysis tells them, is that those fights were probably limited to advanced groups of special forces, paratroopers who came in initially on the ground, were engaged in battle. The main military convoy, if you like, the armoured convoy of Russian military is still a few miles from Kiev itself. We've also been hearing today from President Zelensky, who has appealed directly to people, friends of Ukraine, to go to that country and take up arms to help defend his country. Now, that's not military personnel from the UK or other countries that he's asking for. He knows he's not going to get that. No NATO country is going to put boots on the ground. Instead, he's just asking people, ordinary members of the public, perhaps those who've had military service and experience in handling firearms, to get to Ukraine. And he says they'll be given weapons and they'll be put in harm's way to defend that nation. Quite how they will get there, given the chaos on the ground and just how insecure that region is another matter. But that's what President Zelensky has called for today. Now, a former Ukrainian president, Petro Poroshenko, has been speaking today as well, and he has donned a flak jacket, he's carrying a weapon, he's on the front line with the troops. He has said, echoing what the British Ministry of Defence has been reporting, that the Ukrainian military is putting up a very significant fight. Now, they have been using British-provided weapons, British-supplied and US-supplied anti-tank and anti-air shoulder-launched missile systems that they've been equipped with and trained in. The Ukrainians are calling for much more of that, and indeed, the British Armed Forces Minister James Heappey has said that he will, and 25 other NATO countries will, provide lethal aid to Ukraine. Again, he wouldn't go into the details about how they will get these weapon systems into Ukraine, given the security situation on the ground. But former President Poroshenko said that those systems had been used along with other weapons to bring down 20 Russian aircraft. He also claims that they have disabled more than 100 Russian tanks and 1,000, he says, 1,000 armoured personnel carriers. They also claim to have killed 3,500 Russian troops. How accurate all of the information is, we don't know. We can only quote someone who is a significant figure in Ukraine. This is what he is claiming. It echoes what the Ukrainian military was claiming earlier today. And it appears backed up by a lot of the information now coming out, Nana, from the UK Ministry of Defence. Some very significant lines coming out this afternoon.